I'm Scuba, this is DJ Textural. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a producer. I used to be a DJ when people DJ'd, and I've been around for quite a long time. I started a label called Hot Flush in 2003, was involved with the really early dubstep sound in London in 4, 5, 6, 7, and after that I moved to Berlin because, well, I felt a little bit disengaged with the dubstep scene, and pitched up there, started a night called Substance at Berghain, which was kind of a meeting of dubstep and techno, and that ran for 5 years to 2012, and along the way and since then I've got into house and drum and bass and techno and all kinds of stuff. So really I've covered all kinds of bases musically, so I haven't got a signature sound or whatever. I just make tunes, and I guess that's kind of what people know me for. Anyway, I just wanted to talk you through a kind of innovation for me that I've been working through in the studio last few months, over the last year actually, I suppose, and that's getting guitars into my music. I've been a guitar player since, I don't know, I was 10 or 11, but it's pretty difficult to get guitar into house and techno and that kind of thing in any kind of convincing sort of a way. It just doesn't seem to fit for some reason, and a lot of it I think is to do with being willing to take the risk to put that stuff in there. So there's a couple of tracks in particular that have come out in the last year that I made, that I use guitar in different ways. Just going to talk you through them quickly, the way I did those two tracks, or did the guitars on them anyway. So Never Forget is a tune which was earlier in the kind of process that I went through trying to work guitars in. Really the solution that I kind of came to when making that track was to use guitars in the same ways that I used synth lines in the past. So really not thinking about it as a guitar as such. I mean, when you've learned to play the guitar and you sit down and play it, you get taught in a certain way and you tend to fall back on that. And I tried to really unlearn that as a kind of method of playing and try to think about more what my instinct is when I sit down at a synth and write a synth line for a track. So the guitars in that are as a result super simple, just hitting one note and just letting the texture do the work, and to add that little bit extra in the tune that I was looking for. And it is incredibly simple what I did on it, but it works, you know, and that's really, well, that's just the question I was trying to answer in making that track with the guitar. It's just like, can you get the texture in there? It doesn't have to be like a virtuoso line or anything, but can you make it work? And on that I did. So I was kind of happy with that. And then the next tune that came out more recently using guitar went the other way completely, and that's the track called Forgive Me. And on that tune I decided that I wanted to get a proper guitar solo in there. So this is something which just definitely doesn't compute when you're thinking about dance music, thinking about electronic music. Having a full-on 70s rock guitar solo doesn't quite work. And you know, like I said, have played guitar forever, and so anyone who plays guitar aspires on some level to be some kind of lead guitar hero. So on this track, Forgive Me, I kind of let it go and just said, fuck it, let's see if this can work with the kind of melodic aspect of the tune. And yeah, I just played the solo, and it kind of worked. I think maybe, I don't know if it did work. Track did alright, people seem to like it. But at the end of the day, when you're a producer, when you're making tune in the studio, a lot of the whole challenge, the mental challenge of making a tune, is getting over those hurdles in your mind. And I think at a more general level, this has been where the useful lesson that I've learned from this process of making these tunes with guitars in. It's learning to get over your inherent biases, getting over your fears of doing something wrong, getting over your fear of making something that people aren't going to like, and allowing yourself to experiment and just get on with stuff, and allowing yourself to make mistakes, but hopefully working through to something in the end which is a little bit different and isn't just some, identikit loops tune that anyone could make, and getting to that stage where you've got a sound which is a little bit, of your own. So I would say my experiments with guitar over these 2 tracks, and also over the many other tracks that I've made during that period, have been a really useful experience, just in terms of experimenting, as I said, but also in terms of getting back in touch with that initial inspiration that you have when you first start making tunes. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's quite difficult sometimes to re-engage, reconnect with that initial feeling of inspiration that you have, and changing stuff up like this, whether it's using instruments or whether it's just changing your work processes in some way, can really be useful. And for me, this is kind of what I've taken from this process the most. It's been a really interesting and useful thing to do. So if you do that and the results are good, then really that's all you need, and that's makes the whole thing worthwhile. Anyway, I've been Scuba. This is DJ Tech Tools. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this, and I'll check you guys soon.